These days, people suddenly start to think about how their health is. They are not afraid of a serious illness, but they are afraid of a plague that can suddenly take someone's life. People are not only thinking about medical drugs, but they are also thinking about alternatives and lifestyles that can keep people healthy. Starting from the first time the pandemic broke out, people, including Americans, began to prioritize how their health was. They make various efforts to maintain their health, including starting to take vitamins and supplements with the aim of increasing their immune system. And vitamin D is one of them. The question is, what is vitamin D? Vitamin D is a group of fat-soluble sequesteroids, where they have a major role to increase intestinal absorption of calcium, magnesium, phosphate, and several other biological effects. Our bodies are able to absorb calcium only in the presence of vitamin D. And as we already know, calcium is the main component of bones. Therefore, vitamin D is often recognized as a nutrient that our bodies need to build and maintain bone health. Not only for bones, but these nutrients also regulate many other cellular functions in the body. Vitamin D has anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and neuroprotective properties that have been shown to support the immune system, brain cell activity, and muscle function. And the next question is, how did vitamin D end up being linked to COVID-19? The first fact. A 2017 study that analyzed 25 randomized controlled trials concluded that vitamin D may help prevent acute respiratory infections. The second fact. Dr. Adik Ginde, a professor of emergency medicine at the University of Colorado School of Medicine, says that vitamin D can help boost the innate immune system. One of the mechanisms is to increase antimicrobial peptides, which function as natural antibiotics and antiviral protectors against pathogens. The third fact. A study of 489 patients published in the JAMA Network Open concluded that patients who were vitamin D deficient had a 1.77 greater risk of testing positive for COVID-19 when compared to other patients who had adequate vitamin D levels. Next, the fourth fact. In another recent study, Meltzer found that black people with higher levels of vitamin D were less likely to test positive for COVID-19 than those with moderate levels. Still with Meltzer of the University of Chicago. In this fifth fact, he said that in patients who don't receive vitamin D and then get ill, the dose will work better if it is given to the patient gradually and often, when compared to a single large dose. The fact number 6. Researchers in Greece recently concluded that vitamin D deficiency is not significantly associated with infection, recovery, or even death rates from COVID-19 among European countries. And in the following December, an agency for the UK's National Health reviewed the evidence and advised people not to simply take vitamin D to prevent or treat COVID-19. Several methods are used to continue the study. One of them is by conducting research on patients who are hospitalized. And here are some of the studies. The seventh fact. A small study conducted on patients hospitalized in Spain for COVID-19 found that 80% of them were vitamin D deficient compared to 47% of the general population. However, there was no relationship between vitamin D levels and the severity of the disease. The fact number 8. Still using the same method. Doctors in Brazil conducted a placebo-controlled trial. Doctors gave hospitalized COVID-19 patients a large dose of vitamin D and concluded that there was no significant reduction in the length of hospital stay compared to the placebo group. The fact number 9. Low levels of vitamin D are associated with increased levels of cytokines and may result in lower levels of protective immune cells. And lastly, the 10th fact. People with low levels of vitamin D tend to be less healthy. They spend less time outdoors and are exposed to less sunlight. Obese people usually have lower levels as well because fat cells absorb vitamin D. And finally, here are the conclusions.